Arel.
Here.
Budke.
Here.
Kleva.
Present.
Kuhn.
Here.
Lunsky.
Here.
Mattson.
Here.
Reichert.
Here.
Sandy. Wasvik.
Here.
All present. We have a quorum.
Mr. Reichert.
Move approval.
Moved by Mr. Reichert, second by Mr. Lunsky. Any further discussion on the minutes? Seeing no hands, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meetings are passed as submitted. Public hearings, final approvals, petitions, and minor changes.
3-1, plat of University Park, second edition, located at 320 North 25th Street and 2100 Fifth Avenue North with street and highway ordinance dedication.
Ms. Edwardson.
Good evening. This would be back before you for final approval with the right-of-way dedication. It's for the park as well as the school lot, and some cleanups have needed to be made between the first round of this and then the second round, the street and highway being the biggest one. So asking for final approval. You did give preliminary approval last month. Could stand for any questions, but would recommend approval.
Okay, I guess anybody have a question for Ms. Edwardson before I open up the public hearing? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody in the audience like to step up and address item 3.1, please do so at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Reichert.
Move approval.
Moved by Mr. Reichert,
Second.
second by Mr. Rell. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I had
Yes, sir.
recused myself earlier on this one. I'd like to do so again.
Okay. Anybody have a problem with that? I know we kind of decided both ways to vote on it or not, so all those in favor of Mr. Mattson recusing himself, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, Mr. Mattson, you are recused. Thank you very much. We got a motion on the floor. Did we get a second?
You did.
Okay. All right, with that, any further discussion? If not, a call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 3-1 passes. 3-2.
Ordinance and resolution to amend the Grand Forks Comprehensive Plan to include the Grand Forks, East Grand Forks 2050 Street and Highway Plan update.
Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Chair. So this item is the transportation plan. It's a part of our long-range transportation plan, which is part of our comprehensive plan, which is part of Chapter 18 Land Development Code. Sorry, John. I won't start over. But it's part of our long-range transportation plan, part of our comprehensive plan. The responsibility of this body, as written in city code, is to make a recommendation up to city council on these items. It's through an ordinance, which means there's a preliminary and a final. At final, at this body, which is tonight, there's a public hearing. So we've noticed it. We don't do direct mailings on text amendments, which is actually what this is. The text amendment is to move the document from a 2045 up to a 2050 transportation plan. And November, we had preliminary approval, and that went up to City Council, and it was planned to be approved November 20th. City Council did ask for another document. They were looking for a comparison document between what the difference was between 2045 and 2050. I mean, it's a very big document, as you guys have seen. And so there was a document that was requested, just give us the highlights of what the difference is between the two. That was provided, and they just took a little bit more time to kind of soak that document in. We attached it as part of tonight's attachments on this item. And then the city council actually acted on Monday. And so when the staff report went out to you guys, that wasn't included yet, so you didn't see what the city council's actions were on Monday. I emailed it out to you just so you guys were aware of what that was. For those who haven't seen that, I can quickly let you know that the motion that was made was to remove all reference to the intercity bridge between the Point Bridge and 47th from the long range, 2050 long range transportation plan. And then specifically, it was also pointed out that Merrifield Road Bridge was a priority, and then to implement the safety measures in the Phoenix School Safety Study, which is ongoing now. I think there's actually a public meeting next month, the final one on that. So with that, that was just a quick rundown. I wanted to kind of lay the land of where we're at. Stephanie Halford with the MPO is here tonight as well, hopefully to answer any questions that you may have on the document itself or any new questions you have on the long-range plan. I'll stand for anything that you may have for me as well. So with that, I'll...
Okay. Anyone from the commission have any questions for Mr. Brooks before we open the public hearing, I guess, on this one? All right, we'll do so. We'll open the public hearing. Anybody in the audience want to step up and address 3.2, please do so at this time. I guess I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to commission. We can ask Ms. Halford to come up. Miss Sandy. If she would, if we have any questions for her.
I did watch
Please, Megan, or Miss Sandy.
both. I did watch the council meeting on Monday, and I would agree with the motion that passed there, and so I would move approval that we do the same. I think, first of all, to make it very clear that Merrifield is our first choice of a bridge, and I don't feel like it's right to continue the discussion of a bridge in town that would take out some of the housing, destroy neighborhoods. I think there are other ways to make traffic safer for that neighborhood, but I don't think the way to do it is to destroy another.
that's
So
your
I
motion.
think the traffic studies, so my motion is to approve as it was approved at council.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Miss Sandy. Mr. Budke.
Yeah, so I watched the video from Monday as well. I guess I was disappointed that the...
Mr.
that the-
Budke, could we get, we almost need a second on this to be able to discuss it.
Okay, I'll second.
Ms. Harrell?
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second by Ms. Harrell. Now further discussions, Mr. Budke.
Appreciate it. I guess I was disappointed to see the reference to the intercity bridge removed from that. As far as sending a signal when it comes to priorities, I guess maybe I don't understand how this document functions, but I mean, there are dozens of projects. So maybe Stephanie, you could elaborate on like how projects are prioritized when they're on the list versus being omitted from the list entirely?
All projects come, all projects come from city staff as well as our DOT partners, and they tell us what they want their priorities to be. They're not MPO priorities, they're not the consultant priorities. It comes from the city staff as well as DOT partners.
Okay, so a project could be on the list and say it's a Merrifield Road Bridge, that could be clearly stated as a higher priority.
It could, yeah. If that's what the partners want, yes, it could.
Okay. So I was disappointed to see that language was removed in the motion. I guess I was pleased that the Phoenix school safety study was mentioned. Yeah, I understand it's not been completed, or I don't believe there's been a deliverable come out of that, but I've been paying close attention to that, and somebody who walks a child across that intersection daily. I do think that there's been some really useful stuff already come out of that. Happy to see where it goes. And frankly, I think that those sorts of design treatments is what's sorely needed when talking about other neighborhoods. And the way that the traffic moves through neighborhoods, I think there's honestly too great of an emphasis on the volume of those and not on what it means to the surrounding neighbors. So I was happy to see that. guess I'll just add, I think it's a mistake to omit any mention of a bridge between 47th and the Point Bridge at all. I do think repeatedly there's been a demonstrated need for some bridge. I think it's fair to debate like how the costs of that break down. Politics was mentioned as an impediment here. I get that. I think there's probably some truth to the idea that one party or one government might benefit more than the other. So is the cost share right? I understand that, but I do think that the question of a bridge and just how to prioritize it in the city limits should remain on the table. So I would like to see that project remain on the list. However, the council or city staff chooses to prioritize it. So I guess I won't be supporting tonight's motion.
Thank you,
Make a
Mr.
comment towards
Budke.
that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I guess our idea with having an intercity bridge and just having that name, it calls out from the Point Bridge all the way to Merrifield. So it can be anywhere that, including 47th. And that was we've heard from other partners that do want it. And since we're MPO that represents all these organizations, we thought this was a good kind of neutral thing as everything got kind of worked out between parties. So that's why we went with that and thought that was kind of a good neutral ground to why everyone kind of figured out and came to a decision.
Okay.
Because we knew it wasn't ready to make a decision for a location.
Right.
During this plan timeline.
So if I may, one other question then just on like the logistics of what happens next.
Yep.
Obviously, the city council voted on this. I can imagine where it's headed. It wasn't clear to me, though, watching the video, what happens next if East Grand Forks and Grand Forks have different plans. How does it move forward?
I'm glad you brought that up because that's a good question because I want to make sure that this body knew that. So I guess it could go a couple different ways depending when we go through the motions through council on both sides as well as planning and zoning on both sides, it can go a couple ways. As of now, if you choose to go along with council, I'm assuming that council may not change their mind, or if they do, that's up to them. But in the end, both council's decisions and motions will be presented to the executive board, and they will make the decision, and that's what will be moved forward. So in the end, both cities can have different decisions, but it'll come down to the exec board.
Okay, thank you.
And would that mean there's no ability for federal funding for anything if you just take it out of the list for the next 25 years?
For that project, yes. If you wanted to actually go after intercity bridge, you would have to put that back into the plan. But if a decision is not made, if it happens to go a tie vote or it gets shot down at the exec board level, we don't have enough time to edit the plan taking out intercity bridge. It's not just a line item, it's all throughout the documents, maps, modeling. That's a couple months and it will freeze funding. We have to have this plan adopted by the end of January, and by February, things start getting frozen. Anything tied to federal funding.
Mr. Brooks, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to everybody probably doesn't necessarily know what the MPO makeup is. It is 4 on each side. So when she says there could be a tie vote, you have 4 people from the east side and 4 people from Grand Forks that actually vote on that document.
Yeah.
2 from city councils on each side, 1 county commission from each side, and then 1 P&Z rep from each side. And this body's rep is Al Grasser, who was actually voted on in January of last year for a 2-year term.
Mr. Benson?
Yeah, I guess I would just mimic a lot of what Mr. Budke said here, that I won't be supporting this. I lived on the Point in East Grand Forks for 5 years. I live on Belmont Road now. All that traffic comes by on Belmont. Anyone that thinks that you're avoiding traffic going by Schrader Middle School or 32nd Avenue, it's there. It's there 24 hours a day, going right past my house at 50, 60 miles an hour. We need a bridge. We need to at least leave the door open for a bridge. maybe for my grandkids, because this stuff doesn't happen overnight. And when we talk about Schrader Middle School being a problem, hey, Valley's getting replaced. Schrader will be the next one. So that school might not even be there by the time that we're talking about putting a bridge in here. So, and when we're talking about the ability to get federal money or state money or something to pay for this, we got to remember too that the benefit of this is not, the benefit in that money is it doesn't come out of the citizens as much. When Belmont gets destroyed, it's going to be a special assessment for everyone that lives on there. And that's the benefit. The benefit is people are getting to their jobs. They're getting to 18,000 new jobs in our area by 2050. A lot of them are going to come from East Grand Forks. So I will not be supporting that amendment. If it is, I think we should add speed tables and stop signs, just like Reeves Drive's got, so we can slow everything down and discourage anyone from using Belmont in 32nd, and then they can beat up Washington instead. So that's my approach to this.
Okay, Ms. Sandy?
So I have a couple comments, and I will say this has been talked about for how many years? 60?
Since the 70s.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah.
So, in that time, there are people who have not known what's happening in their neighborhood. And I understand the traffic thing, and we know that there are other ways to handle traffic, but we are sitting up here representing Grand Forks. And I think it's important that we remember that we're not representing East Grand Forks. East Grand Forks had some opportunities recently to do a roundabout to control their traffic. They aren't developed out to where we would even need a bridge. East Grand Forks isn't growing the way that Grand Forks is growing. So I think that it's just important that we remember who we need to represent here. And there is a neighborhood, I lived on Belmont, 800 block. It was busy. I don't know, do you have anything that proves that a bridge, we have 3 bridges in our town. Will a 4th bridge, it'll just move the traffic to someone else's neighborhood. So I think the traffic needs to be remedied. I don't think it has anything to do with the bridge. I don't think Grand Forks is dying to get over to East Grand Forks. I guess take my dog to the vet there, but the shopping is here. People in East Grand Forks come here to work. So for us to pay for that bridge and to destroy a neighborhood where Jenny can confirm, we don't have enough housing. So taking any housing offline in Grand Forks in the near future or even in the distant future makes 0 sense to provide a bridge for the neighboring community, neighboring state to come over into our community. I understand Greater Grand Forks, East Grand Forks is great, but I'm sitting here representing Grand Forks. And I do feel like it's a little, maybe not disingenuous, but the freezing the federal funding.
I'm sorry, I want to make sure that you guys knew that.
Okay, but
And-
freezing it for how long? Till there's an agreement.
Yes, yes.
So freezing it for a week? Freezing it for 2 weeks?
It would be all
I know, but it
depend-
makes it sound like we can't get the funding for a project, and that's not the case. So I feel like it should be clarified that if there isn't an agreement, there may be a week or two where the federal funding checks aren't coming in. And I also don't necessarily think that we need to worry about having a bridge on the plan right now, because the Merrifield Bridge is there, and the Merrifield Bridge is the priority. So let's stop doing this to the people in our community. When I sell a house, I personally feel I have to disclose. If that house is on 32nd Avenue, I have to disclose to my buyer that there may be a bridge coming through your front yard. Because I know that, and anyone can go back and see this meeting and know that I know that. And do you think that that helps their value or helps their sale? It absolutely does not. And so when I'm sitting here tonight, that's who I'm thinking about. And let's also get the traffic safety figured out. But the bridge, Merrifield. Otherwise,
So you know that process would take more than a couple weeks. We would have to amend our work program to change that date, as well as work with the federal partners and DOTs and ask for them to give us more federal money to change that plan,
Okay, well, in that case.
as well as ask for more money from both cities to do that, as well as
Yeah.
timeline. So we're talking about 3, 6, maybe even 9 months.
Well, I think if anyone needs to cave in this, then it should be East Grand Forks.
Okay.
Because we shouldn't have to foot the bill, we shouldn't have to destroy our neighborhoods. There are already 3 bridges. They could have put in the roundabout, they can figure it out. I don't want to. And the people I talk to don't want to either.
Mr. Reichert, you had something?
Yeah, I just want to find out what's going on here. So, if we pass the same thing that city council passed, I assume there's no problem, right? I mean, it goes through the normal course and everything.
It could go a couple different ways.
Okay.
Well, this is a recommendation up to city council
Yeah, we're just
ultimately.
recommending.
Right, okay. So if we vote to have something different than city council, it doesn't matter. City council can do whatever they want, correct?
Correct.
Okay. If city council, or if something doesn't pass city council, in other words, it doesn't pass, are you saying that then that will slow down your process and we would lose city funding, or I mean, federal funding?
So in the scenario of, say, East Grand Forks passed it through council, the MPO board passes it, but Grand Forks decides not to, nothing will be frozen.
Okay. And if we don't have this bridge in, or any bridge in the plan, then the only federal funds that would be frozen would be for a bridge?
No, it's anything on the TIP document, any street project that's going after federal funding during the time of the frozen, they will not be able to touch.
Right, but what I'm talking about is, if the bridge is out, if any mention of the bridge is out,
Yeah.
then that just means we can't go after federal funds for the bridge, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then we can put it back in by,
What was that last part again? I'm sorry.
yeah, I just want to see, if we don't have the bridge in the plan, that means we cannot get federal funds for the bridge, correct?
I think it's important to note that the Grand Forks plan versus the MPO plan, because if Grand Forks has an adopted transportation plan that says no intercity bridge, ultimately, whether the federal funds are allowed to flow through the community is whether the MPO plan has an adopted plan, correct?
Correct.
An adopted plan or a plan with the bridge in it?
Well, if the MPO plan has it in there, then you can go after. If it's not in there and you want to go after it, then you would have to amend the plan first.
Okay, and in order to amend the plan, we would have to do what?
Well, on this side, it's a 2-month process, so going through planning and zoning twice and city council.
And how does it start? Somebody
would be-
contacts your
Yes, it would be a-
agency?
Yes, it would be a formal request from the city to the MPO saying, we want to do this amendment, and then it would go through the process. And it's usually a 2-month process, if it all goes
So it
smoothly.
doesn't have to wait the 5 years that we
No.
adopt the new plans?
No.
Okay, and it's only if they just look at what the current plan is. They don't look at our old plans, they don't look at the plans we're working on.
Things change, and that's why we update them every 5
Okay,
years.
and I just wanted to get procedurally what's going on. Thank
Yep.
you.
Very well done, Mr. Reichert.
So we wouldn't be disqualified, we wouldn't be disqualified if the bridge is taken out of this plan and
Or we
something.
decide to edit it, and
Yeah.
that's what passes?
So
No.
we wouldn't be disqualified
No.
then if we
No,
wanted a
but
bridge.
it would
Well,
just
we would be
probably freeze
until-
up, delay things.
We
For a
would be
couple
until we
months.
amend it.
Right, for a couple of months.
How often do we submit, or do you guys submit this to the for federal dollars? Is it
For
once
this
a year?
plan?
Well, just the plan. How often does this plan is
So
the
this
deadline
is-
is February for this one?
This is a revolving plan that we do every 5 years. You go through a whole timeline. First, it's there's a bike and ped plan, the transit plan, and then we go into the street and highway, and that's kind of first it's the land use plan. It's like a one after another kind of thing, and that's done every 5 years. And then we have a work program that we say, hey, we're going to do these plans in this year, these plans in next year, be prepared and they sign off that, yes, we will give you that 80% match to cover those plans.
So if you have to rework all these plans and miss the February deadline, when can you submit again? Because we'd
Like
lose.
submit the work program,
If
or-
you didn't submit it or get the stuff in by February because you had to redo it all, we lose those federal dollars for how long?
Till this plan is adopted.
But there's not a set window. Is that what?
No,
we're
it would be
determining?
totally up to the agency.
Okay, all right, just want to make
Yeah,
sure
the
that's where we're
cities.
at. And then my other question is, since 1970, when this intercity bridge has been discussed, how many studies have we done that have come back and told us we need one?
Pretty much since the 70s, that's why we're.
But how many? What's the number?
I guess every 5 years, so what
Do the
is,
math.
It's a whole lot, right?
yeah, so.
Now we
okay, I'm
keep
not gonna
wanting
do
to pull it
math,
out?
yeah.
I don't understand our logic here.
It comes down to, in my mind, everybody's got their own opinion. You know, you take the needs of a 50,000 community versus the needs of a 13. You got 1,300 people on the point. Do you take those needs to, you know, I agree with part of what Ms. Sandy said, the homes and the neighborhoods. I mean, it's a very political move right now. It's a lot of that going on, and everybody's got feelings over it. The questions Mr. Reichert asked diligently was great. If you think about it, in 6 months, 5 years, 2 months, there's going to be no bridge, because it'll take a heck of a lot longer than that to get this all sorted out. You can amend the document, put it back in, and go about your merry way. So it's not as complicated to get back in as I was assuming as well.
That's what I thought.
So that helps my end of it. Ms. Sandy?
To your point, Jamie, when they started this, think of how Grand Forks was developed. Okay, so they just keep on pushing this down. And so when they first started this, it wasn't gonna destroy people's houses. And now, I mean, honestly, you could talk about a 62nd Avenue Bridge, and that wouldn't even work now, because we've got brand-new houses built there. So the problem is, nothing was ever really done, and it jumped around, and now we're a developed community. It doesn't make sense to put a bridge
Let's leave it
through
in
the
there
middle of
because
it.
we know it's still not going to happen, but if we do find an opportunity and a way to do
Right.
something, we have money,
Yeah,
right? And I've lived on a road for 20 years that has just got more and more and more traffic because no one before us has made a decision and got something done.
right.
Every road has more traffic. I will say that. The Burke Edition has more traffic where I'm at. I can't go to that because every road has more traffic. Because it used to be the kids shared a car, to Mr. Budke's point. Now they don't. Now there's 4 cars in the driveway. Everything is expanded. And I remember my mom and dad lived on 32nd when my dad was alive, and they had promises if they rebuilt from the flood. My mom still has a letter from the city saying there would never be a bridge on 32nd because they weren't going to rebuild after the flood. So they rebuilt. So that's the fear factor in all the people in town. There was all these things happening and everybody's scared that not in my neighborhood situation, you know. That's what I see it from the outside looking in, and I travel through Grand Forks every day. I go south to Grand Forks. Well, just as easy for me that far come back into town because I'm 2 blocks from the Merrifield Road. So to me, it's kind of a nothing burger if you're going to do that. To me, getting the trucks, the beet trucks, potato trucks, I know it's only for a month a year, you guys, but I absolutely give my kids and wife a huge lecture that time of year because of those trucks blasting through town. And if we could get those out of town, to me, would be the safest thing. And that's through the Merrifield Bridge. And that would be a great start. And if somebody from East Grand Forks has to drive a little farther if they want to come around and reduce traffic, so be it. I drive farther to get away from busy streets all the time. That's just my 2 cents.
I still don't think that solves the problem. It helps for 1 month a year.
I know, but it's a lot of people getting accidents that month. Mr. Riker?
Yeah, I guess for me, taking Ms. Sandy's point is, we have been talking about this for 70 years, and I think by 2050, there will continue to be discussions about this bridge. And I think leaving it in, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't help, but it gives the signal that you, like you talked about, that to everybody that, hey, there is going to be discussions about a bridge. It may happen, it may not happen, but this is a 2050 plan. And by putting in a mention of it, you're going to put people on notice that it is certainly a possibility. I don't think we want to take that off the table. For that reason, I'm going to move to amend your motion to approve the plan as it's written, without the reference to the bridge taken out.
You have to agree to that.
No, she doesn't.
Amendment.
There can be she won't agree to it, I assume. No. But then we'd have to have a second.
And then we have to have 2 votes.
Yep.
We have a motion on the floor.
Right,
And a
so we
second.
vote for the amendment. So then, and this will take care of it. So we'll know one way or the other, we're going to pass this, I would assume, either with my amendment, or if that fails, then we vote on Ms. Sandy's motion without the amendment.
We can do it that way. There's a couple different ways to skin the cat here.
I think you have to vote on
I thought we had to vote on the motion that's
No,
on
you
the
vote
floor.
on the amendment first.
We can do it either way, I believe. If we're all okay with it, we can do it either way.
I'd prefer that we do it the way that we're supposed to do it, which I believe is that you vote on the motion that's on the floor, and then you can make the amendment.
You don't amend a motion after it's already been passed. It doesn't matter. Do it however you want. I don't care.
I've always been told that if you disagree,
I'm right.
I know you are. You're a lawyer, you're always
You
right.
could amend, you could amend it like he's talking about. It gets a little complicated,
Right.
but it could occur that way if you
I'm
wanted.
all about simplicity.
Yeah. I'll leave it to the chair what he wants to do, but as Alex said, this could be a proper motion if it's seconded to move forward, is my understanding.
It was seconded by Ben.
So, but isn't it, he can make a new motion if my motion doesn't pass?
That's also, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
Do that
the other
too.
way to do it. Yeah.
So we got a sticky wicket here.
Don't just make a decision. Either way, it doesn't
All right.
matter.
I guess we got a motion on the floor, discussion going on. Let's keep it simple. And any further discussion on the motion on the floor? Mr. Budke?
So just a couple more thoughts to share. So Megan, you mentioned the idea of like, if a new bridge were built, presumably at 32nd, which I guess I didn't understand that it was ever pinned down to one location.
There's no location called out. It's intercity across the board.
Right.
From Point to Merrifield.
Okay. I guess I've been, following this question for some time now. I've never understood that developing a bridge would mean like destroying housing units. Perhaps I'm mistaken in that, and I understand that the qualitative question of traffic and infrastructure being installed is a different question. But I've never understood this project to mean taking housing units offline. To like buy out houses and.
We don't know that because nothing's been designed.
Okay.
And what that looks like.
Okay.
That's a problem. Everybody's kind of, in both cities, is fighting over a wish and a prayer.
Right.
There is really no plan.
And none
Some-
of it matters. City council's going to do what city council.
Exactly.
So one other.
Feels good for us.
That's right.
One other point then, just about the Merrifield Bridge, Steve, because I think what you mentioned about the beat truck traffic, which I loathe going through downtown during that season. I think that's a great reason to prioritize one bridge over the other. I think that's totally valid. But I think if the question is like the like daily traffic and as it relates to that area around Belmont, Reeves, Fourth, the school, when that question has been looked at, the Merrifield Bridge does not do much at all for that traffic. Perhaps in your particular case, where your particular home and trip is, that might be different, but for when
But
they.
I don't think a intercity bridge would do anything for that either. If you think, people are gonna go where they're gonna go. They're not gonna go 5 blocks down to hit a bridge when they're gonna cross a bridge and go. People are gonna, Mr. Brooks and I've had this discussion on other issues about the amount of traffic on Belmont on the south end. He disagreed with me that there was a lot of traffic. This is about 5-6 years ago. And I said, come out with me one morning. Or one night, when all the hockey parents, he goes, no, they go all the way up to Washington and then go to the Purple Arena. No, we all take Belmont right up in 7th. And it's absolutely true. It's probably shorter, or it's probably quicker, 4-lane road, easier to go up to Washington and back to get to the arena. No, every parent on the south end to go to hockey takes Belmont Road, even though it doesn't make sense and it clogs it up to do that. So if we start swaying where we think traffic's gonna go, we got a long night.
Just,
You know what I mean?
Just one thought on that. This was some years ago now, but there was a group that was convened to work with a consultant on the traffic modeling specifically. I sat on that, tried to take what I could from it. When it came to modeling the traffic, right, which again, inexact science, right?
Right.
But when they placed a south side bridge at different alignments, it did alleviate the traffic on that Point Bridge, Minnesota Avenue, Belmont corridor. And actually, the further north it was, the more effective at doing that it was. The Merrifield Bridge, it didn't show that same effect, not in the traffic model.
course not.
So, be that as it may. Nothing would make me happier if as a community, we made like a concerted effort to just reduce the number of vehicle trips taken.
Good luck with that.
I feel.
Good luck with that, Mr. Budke.
I've been saying
And
on
we'll move on from that because that's a whole nother subject. That's why I'm using the chair gavel.
In regards to the Merrifield Bridge, so if we put in the Merrifield Bridge, do we change the rating of our Demers Road to a weight limit or reduce or limit trucks? Because we can't tell them to not go down Demers.
Yep,
Right?
you're right, 100%.
So
Good
even if the
question.
shortest path is still down Demers for that farmer,
Gonna take
where are they
it.
gonna go?
No,
Okay.
there's some roads that you're not allowed to have those kind of vehicles on them, and you can classify them that way.
But can we,
That,
since it's a state.
that would be an enforcement thing.
As a state road, can we reclassify that?
Because, I mean, you can't have those trucks on the Point Bridge.
I know, but on Demers.
As of now, they can, but, I mean, that would be something that could be looked at. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I remember 5 years ago, Mr. Brooks and I were talking about it. We brought up and tried to take the language out of the bridge as planning and zoning in the 2045 plan. We did. We voted on it and passed to take the language out. It went to City Hall, and they switched it around the other way and got it back. So now it's just kind of ironic that we're fighting over not passing what they're gonna do.
I think that was
Kinda funny.
naming where it was gonna go. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the plan, and we
'Cause
wanted it out.
32nd, yeah.
Yeah,
and
well,
we
it was,
wanted
there
it
was
to
the
not.
three options. There was 17th, 32nd, and, was it 13th or something?
Yeah,
And
so it was
we,
in but not named.
yeah, we got it out. Let's do it. All right, let's call for a vote on Megan's motion. We'll pick up Alex's, at the time if needed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're gonna have to do a roll call vote. That's just gonna be the only way to do it.
Arel,
Aye.
Budke,
No.
Kleva,
No.
Kuhn. Lensky,
No.
Mattson,
No.
Reichert,
No.
Sandy,
Yes.
Wasvik,
Yes. She's a great tie ball game, guys.
5-4 no. 5-4 no? Is that what you
Yeah.
got?
Yep. That's what I got.
Motion fails then.
Motion fails.
So we'll have to get a motion to go in the positive, is what we would like to see, hopefully, to move this forward still.
Yeah. No,
One way or the
no.
other.
Yeah, Mr. Reichert, you, go ahead.
Move approval.
No, there's no motion.
The current motion before this body, just so you know, was the motion to have it removed.
Recommended from City Hall.
Yeah.
Now we need to change it.
okay. So I move to pass it with the bridges included, or the reference to the bridge included.
Do we have a second?
I do.
Mr. Lunsky? Any further discussion? Okay. I'll just do a roll call vote. Just gonna save myself some time.
What it was last time.
Arel,
No.
Budke,
Yes.
Kleva,
Aye.
Kuhn,
No.
Lensky,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
Reichert,
Yes.
Sandy,
No.
Wadsvik.
Nope.
5-4.
Okay, thank you. So we'll bring this will go forward to
Take it out last time.
City Council at their next, it's the third Monday, December 18th. And I know that we joke that ultimately, you know, what you guys do here is, they can reverse it, but I do know that they listen, and I'm sure a lot of them were watching as well, just so you guys are aware. So even if it is reversed, it isn't that they aren't listening to you. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. I've been told that before by them, so.
We realize, and I appreciate this board's, commissions being able to talk about stuff they're passionate about, and everybody remains respectful, has a little fun doing it, and that's why we're all here. We're gonna all have different opinions. Yeah, not for the money. All right, communications and preliminary approvals.
4-1, ordinance to amend zoning map Odin PUD 124 Belmont Road.
Mr. Brooks.
Thank you. So, in all the commotion, Randall Cordell is here tonight, and I haven't even had a chance to talk to him ahead of time, but other than on the phone earlier this week. He's the new owner of the Odin's property at the corner of Belmont and 4th. So, this is a property that had been a gas station through many years. And recently, obviously, the pumps have been out. He's new owner. It was during COVID. Lots of things were going on. And so I think at the time, pumps were no longer working. And I was just going to let him kind of come up, let him state kind of what his intentions are with the property. I don't think my initial, what was in the staff report, is maybe reflective of what his current plans are. So if that's okay with the chair, I'll kind of let him kind of state what his intent is, and then I can kind of get up and say how that affects the zoning or doesn't.
Please do.
Thanks.
Please welcome. State your name and address for the record, please.
Randall Cordell with Odin's Belmont. And I would like to kind of keep it the way it is now for just a term time, the way Paul had it, you know. And there've been a lot of things that have, with COVID and everything, and just a lot of things, but that's what I would like to continue with the same as now. The pumps do work, and the pumps do, I just haven't put it in. It's been difficult as far as the labor things as well.
Do they have just I'll start if anybody's having any questions. One question is, you know, has the pumps or the tanks been certified and all that? I know we work in that game.
Oh, they
quite a bit.
have, yeah,
That's good.
The pumps, and they're for probably 12 or 13, and there have been steel tanks, poly wrapped and everything, and so,
Great.
and I've paid for all of that.
Great.
Quite a few thousand to have them inspected and everything, and so they said they were good for another 10 or 12.
So you're just looking at doing what Paul had, and I knew Paul, but
Yeah.
doing what Paul had, a little service shop with a gas pump outside.
Yep, yeah, just a small thing.
Anybody else have any question? I know Mr. Brooks called him up to give
Yeah.
us an idea of what he was going to do or change it or.
Yeah, so originally, we got a concern that the pumps, you know, they weren't operational there for a while, and I understand that. We got some complaints a little bit about, you know, what was going on there. It certainly didn't look like a gas station. There was maybe some pieces in there that he needed to clean up and those types of things. So I think, you know, he's hearing, he's going to open back up the gas station. That's actually a permitted use there. So what we were kind of going down the road with the staff report, maybe I think at this time can just be tabled indefinitely. If he's going to open up as a gas station, we'll just, you know, that's an allowable use within that zoning district, so that's actually permitted. We'll just continue to make sure that there isn't any outdoor storage, those types of things. That was a concern going on in that neighborhood. So I'm hearing he's cleaned it up when we kind of had that, so I think we can kind of move forward with that. So
So it'll be nothing for us.
nothing, yeah, we can.
Move to table.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Good luck.
Meeting, of all meetings
Good luck.
to be here. so.
No, it's okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
And we'll make sure everything is good.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, reports from the planning department.
Sounds good. So wanted to give a quick update of some of the work we've been doing this past month. Oddly enough, the lot combinations was probably better suited under a monthly update. But we've been kind of trying to feel out what that monthly update might look like. But just to give you guys a heads up, our plating and right-of-way officer has identified an issue with some of our lot combinations. In the past, the city of Grand Forks has offered the ability to combine previously platted lots into one tax parcel, which we've kept kind of taken as the zoning parcel. It's created a bit of a conundrum in the sense that we view it all as one, but the county recorder still sees them as individual lots, meaning the property owner could sell off one lot even after it's been combined. And so I'm not coming with any questions or any asks, just want to give you an update of an issue we've identified and we're working towards. We've spent this month doing some research with some other communities and codes. Bismarck and Fargo are in the same boat as us. Bismarck's actually had a recent scenario where property owner A combined the lots into one tax parcel, sold to property owner B. B then split off one lot because it is technically a legal lot. County recorder can't prevent that in any mechanism. And that's where the title law and the real estate law kind of gets into it. And then I start to get a little bit outside my current level of understanding, which is why we've wrapped in Dan in the city attorney's office to kind of help us figure out, is it a simple fix? Right now, we offer this lot combination process as free. It's a benefit to the city of Grand Forks in the sense that some of those older neighborhood lots, the 25-foot lots that have been together since the dawn of time and sold together, they get combined into one, but technically they are still separate lots. There's benefits in combining those for zoning purposes and things like that. We do offer that for free right now. If it comes down to the fact that a plat is required in order to legally make that one lot, that is roughly a $2,000 cost commitment to folks going forward. And so we're trying to see if there's an intermediate step that we can take. Is it a standard deed we can create to kind of wrap that loophole up? But wanted to make you guys aware that we've been made aware of that loophole exists and we need to tighten it up. So we're going to spend this next winter trying to figure out, working with Dan, what's the proper solution, what's the proper avenue. Hopefully it's very straightforward and it's just maybe going to be coming back through here with a code update to you in terms of an info item and then preliminary and final. If it gets to be a little more unwieldy, we'll call for a subcommittee meeting, but wanted to make you aware of it just in case you hear anything and let you know that we're working on it. Could try to answer any questions. I don't have a great direction where it's going, but did want to give you an update.
Thanks for that.
If there's no questions, I'll jump right into the 2024 meeting schedule. It was included in your packet. We have 2 dates that we'd like to postpone with your approval. The July date as well as the January 8, 2025 date. That January date sneaks up on us every year, just given the calendar changes and things like that. And so Anna actually caught that for 2025. I wasn't looking at that point. Just wanted to get your approval there on moving those meeting dates back. We do post them so that everybody's aware it is our standard meeting schedule.
I think it looks good. Do we have a motion?
So did you want to move the one for 2024 for January?
No, that one we'd probably, I think we may have asked this last month, we may have some struggles moving that one back just with timelines and publications at this point. So hopefully you guys are all in town for next month's meeting. But let us know if we have a quorum issue. But we would be asking for the July 24 and the January 25.
Second.
Second by Mr. Reichert. Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And
Andrea looks good.
okay, I guess I should ask though, is the January 3rd good for a quorum?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Then with
If we
that.
can Zoom.
Okay, that's good. The other, next thing is just a reminder that we'll be holding elections of officers next month. Don't like to blindside you guys with those, so just want to give a heads up that we will need to do that procedural kind of check mark. Right now, Steve would be president, Alex would be vice president, and Miss Sandy would be secretary, so. That's it for mine. I'll have Haley do a quick monthly update just to give you a summary. We kind of skimmed
If
over
anybody'd
it.
like to make a campaign speech, please do so at this time.
If anyone's absent from the meeting, they just get like.
Is that how it works?
I seem to recall that happened once.
Well, yeah, it did.
Evening. So this December monthly update, we just have 2 more site plans under review, Mac Shop condos and Long King office and shop building. So those were added to the total under review that you guys saw last week. So we have 10 currently under review. Year to date, we've approved 27. So still working on 10 of those to wrap up soon. But both of those that were added in December in an I-2 district. So I'll stand for any other questions if you had them on the past form or this monthly update.
Anyone have any questions? I appreciate the updates. Thank you. All right, any other business? Second by Mr. Mattson. I didn't catch him last time. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.